Salam alaikum. Close these windows a little bit for you guys don't hear so much of the noise from the outdoors. But it's warm already, 65 degrees. I pray you guys are doing great. Peace and blessings be to yourselves and your family members. Another day, you know how it is, Friday. Same old guys, nothing new. Living life, providing for the family and myself, and striving the same way you guys are striving. Trying to learn as much as I can about our tradition, culture, religion, whatever you guys feel more comfortable calling it. Our community, you know, being involved with the community, being involved with other brothers from out of the lineage, that also it's a blessing. You know that when you pray, right? When you say it in Boa, and you are naming all these ancestors that you have never met in your life, which it doesn't matter. Not only do you name your own ancestors, even if you don't know them by name, but you say my ancestors. You understand? From your mother, father's side, and so forth. You say my ancestors, licencia mi ancestros, blessings. Protect me, walk with me, help me, guide me, illuminate me, give me understanding, wisdom, and stuff like that, and then the loved ones also that that have passed and are on the other side that because you've been there and seen their passing and everything. You name them also. But what I'm speaking about really is those enganguleros, those enganguleras, those practitioners from Andilanga, from with old, they had a lot of knowledge. They brought this knowledge here. They practiced. They taught many people. They spread out throughout the world to different countries and brought the tradition. When you're praying, you name some of the ones that you know or have heard of, that they were great. You understand? And as a form of respect, to name them, to keep their legacy and what they did alive when you're naming them. And at the same time, when you name them, it's like you asking them for their blessings also, their wisdom, their knowledge, their understanding, So it's not only something that you say out of mouth because you was taught, but it's something also that is beneficial for you and beneficial for that person that's on the other side, that elder. And one of the best things that you could do is remember. And if you don't know, your padrino knows, and they can explain to you who was who. Certain lineages have learned certain elders that they know by name, and they name them. And then there are some that you will hear about their greatness, what they taught, and you name them also. I try to name as many as I can, and ask for their blessings to keep them alive here because of their legacy and what they left behind, and also to ask them for their blessing and their wisdom and understanding. And I always try to name those who were real, as far as how their personality, for what I haven't explained, were, even though humans have flaws, but I don't want to be asking for blessings from someone that did something that was horrible, and caused pain and hurt. I don't need those type of blessings from those type of people. I need the blessings of the people that were stern, that were good practitioners, had good morals. Those are the type of people that I like to name. And I just bring this up for you guys when you guys are in Boando, or you guys are saying your prayers in front of your gangas, or you go to somebody else's house of Munanso and you salute their gangas and all that, and you name your padrino and so forth and so on, blah the Mpungo, Sambi Mpungo, all that. You remember that you're not just naming those elders, male or female. You're keeping their name, their legacy alive. And you're also asking for their blessing and their wisdom and their guidance and understanding. For you, for now. For you can help. Because they were very knowledgeable people. You know? Even though we know times have changed, a lot of things has changed. But we have evolved. And we are in this continuing evolving, you understand, in life. But anyway, today I just came in because I got emailed and there was asked a question. It's a very short thing, you know. The question was, why does Palo move so fast? Because this person has seen, heard, been witness of, and Kisi Malongo, things that people do in Palo and having a quick outcome. And not all the time or in all cases this is like that. But yes, Palo moves very fast in a lot of occasions and in a lot of circumstances. But he asks me why. Why does Palo move so fast? And, you know, I got to thinking, you know, and I know certain things and stuff like that, but, you know, I was really, really pondering on it. Not just why does it move fast? You know, I was thinking on other things in this tradition, you know, and it's a very good question, a beautiful question. You have to remember, right, that an Nganga, which I have said before, you have to look at it kind of like a world. Like this world. You see, this world has many things. Many things that you can't even name. Many things that you have knowledge and no knowledge of. So when you look at an Nganga, right? An Nganga, I'm not gonna say all, but the predominant ones are in a pot. Whichever type of pot it may be, but it's circular around. And it represents the earth, a world. It has more representation, but we're going to go with what the question and why this I'm saying it represents a world. But it doesn't represent just this world. It represents your world. You as a practitioner. It represents your world. And in your world, you have many elements of nature. From rocks, from precious metals, to sticks, through animals of all sorts and all kinds. You have a lot of things in your world that has its own force, its own vibration, its own force. Some say their own spirituality, but right now I'm not using that word spirituality. Its own force, because it comes from nature. We're not talking about a human dying and it being a spirit. No, we're talking about the natural force and elements of nature that many things have that we ourselves, a great majority, do not understand. How does it work? Where did it come from? But we use it because we know that there's something there. That element is there. So when you start to look at these things and you start to realize that you have a microcosmic earth with you, and there are many things in your microcosmic earth, the Nganga. You start to put 2 and 2 together. And you say, wait a minute. Not only is there spirit there, but also there's a lot of things that is from nature and has its properties and has force and energy that Fumbe uses. Fumbe, muerto. Then you start to realize, why is it powerful? Give me 1 second, guys. You start to realize why Palo works so fast. And not only that, depending of what you have in your Nganga, right? How it was conformed, how it was built, what you have put in it through time, being in the tradition, religion, whatever you want to call it. These things have their own source of energy, their own source of power. Plus, you also have certain spiritualities that are there also in your micro world. And you have to be careful because sometimes in your own micro world, you might have a spirit in there that comes forth that you don't want there. But sometimes they come out and they try to use your micro world to speak, to talk, to tell you something. And sometimes it could be a family member that has passed away. And you would say, how is that possible? That's for a different video. But yes, a family member could speak through there. A muerto could speak through there. That's not your muerto. And if you have experience and you've been dealing with it for a while, you'll notice that it's not your muerto speaking. And you'll distinguish which one is which. Anyway, so when you see, right, when I spoke on my previous video, on my video yesterday, I spoke about we materialize our Inkisis, our Nganga so much. That's what I was speaking about. Materialize. We materialize it so much that the Nganga builds we're going to say, force of forces of nature in there, very powerful, very strong, that the muerto uses to work and to do the things that you send it out to do, for whatever reason it may be. For us, we have to have license to do certain things. We just can't go to the Nganga and say, I want to do this. We have to really, conversate divine and make sure that Mfumba agrees upon whatever it is that you want to do. Sometimes you could do certain things with an Mfumbe that did not agree upon doing that, and it comes to fruition, but it brings you very bad and negative side effects, and you don't want that. That's just my 2 senses. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't do that like that, because you have to remember on certain things, there's something called being just and justified, and there's another thing, not being justified or being just. Both are different and sit on different sides of the coins. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that you won't be able to do X to something because the Nganga said no. But I will tell you that if you do something that the Nganga does not agree upon, especially the way we, me, myself, and I, and how we deal with our Ngangas, could bring you bad, could bring you some repercussions, from mild to very bad. But anyway, Palo Mayombe works because of this, because of all the material, how we materialize our Nkishis, our Ngangas, so much that they build this force and these energies that they're capable to move so quick and so fast. That's why I say don't mix Nkishi Malongo with anything else. There might be similitudes in certain things from other traditions, but don't mix it, because you're working with different energies. Like I said, you might say Ochun. That's the same thing like Mama Chola. No. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, man. Same old thing. There might be certain representations that some people will use for Ochun and Mamachola to speak or to symbolize a certain property, but we're dealing with a nature powers of nature, elements of nature. We're not dealing with Orishas. It's totally different. We're not dealing with colors as far as Orishas. We're not dealing with numerology as far as Orishas. We're not dealing in a lot of ways that Ocha practitioners work with their santos. It's not the same. Like I said, they might have some similitudes that you could kind of like, oh yeah, this and this and that. But no, we're working with things that are from nature. So if we was to say Mama Chola, Cholangwenge, you could say it's the personification of the beauty, the sensuality that women have, that sexiness of a woman, the way she moves, the way she dances, the provocative style of women, of being. You have women that are like that, very, you guys know what I mean, especially the males, you look at them, it calls your attention real quick, and they just do that just to mess with you. But this is, you're bringing it down to a humanistic form. And in Nkisimalongo, Cholawenge is not human. You understand? It's a force of nature. And I understand why people do it, but we have to remember to keep these things clear. Cholawenge, right? Well, Mama Chola, what is one of the main nature aspects of this natural force is the river. The river. That's where you get a lot of some of the similitudes when they say the sweetness of honey that in Ocha they use a lot for Ochun. But no, for us is the element, the power of the rivers. But when you look at it on the flip side, we drink, or we used to drink, but we still do, even though it's processed and gone through filtering, water, because it's the good water, the sweet water that we drink that nourishes us. Our body keeps us hydrated, and it does a whole bunch of things for our kidneys and all that. So you see the difference between the natural element of Cholawenge. When we say Cholawenge, we're talking about the natural resource, the powers and elements of nature. Not a human being, not a person that dresses in yellow, not a person that dances, that pulls a guard out with honey and puts it in the man's mouth. You know, none of these things. You cannot think about Cholawenge this way, because it doesn't have anything to do with that. They might have some similitudes, but it's not the same. Different energies, different way of working with these energies, and so forth and so on. I don't know why I jumped into that, but that was because I was asked on a comment, and I just remembered that they wanted me to speak more on some of the Impungos. But you see, to speak on the Impungos in Nkisimalongo, you can only go but so far and so much in this here, you know, because we cannot speak a lot, because these things have to do with a lot of secret and tratados and things like that, and everyone's rama that is very difficult to speak. And the people that speak about Cholawenge or any other Impungo and add a lot of the things that have to do with Ocha, I'm not going to say they're wrong, but I'm going to say a lot of it is not right and it's incorrect. Because once again, we're dealing with an energy, a source of nature, not with a person, not with a santo, not with nothing that represents a human. The only thing that was human there was the Mfumba that's inside that Cholawenge, inside that Sarawanda, inside that Nsasi, and you know, inside that Kalunga or Madre Agua, inside that, you know, Cubayende, you know, that Cabo Ronda, whatever. Remember, we're dealing with a force of nature and forces of nature with a spirit that uses those forces or that force to manipulate and to do things to benefit you and others, or to destroy you and others, and so forth and so on. We have to remember this. We have to. Because if not, we're going to be mixing up stuff. And this happens a lot with a lot of people that are crowned Ocha, and also are scratch initiated, and in Nkisimalongo. They start mixing these two things this way, and sometimes they're speaking about Ocha and they're calling things in Santo. Even me. See, when I made the video yesterday, I said in one instance I said, "Oh, sign," and I was just speaking about it. You see how easy it is for you to mix them up by saying certain things by mistake. So imagine if you practice both things and you don't know how to differentiate one from another, or you look at them in that same way, then you're kind of putting them in the same, in the same levels, and they're not. And that's the reason why an Nkisi Malongo Palo works so fast, because of how materialized our Nkisis are. And salam alaikum, alaikum salam, be safe, be blessed, have a great weekend.